Hi friends, I'm going to try doing a review on this board today. Ooh, let me make sure I click share screen. I'll try, and then I can write on my big board. So what's going to be on the test for chapter 2? You're definitely going to have to recognize the difference between positive slope, which goes uphill, negative slope. This is from the Slope Dude video. Zero slope, which means it has a slope, it's just flat. And undefined, so watch out for those two. Undefined is when Slope Dude dies when he's falling down. And zero is when Slope Dude is just walking side to side. So all 4 of those questions will be on your test. Okay. Then, of course, finding the slope. And you'll have to find the slope from a graph and from an equation and from the formula. So first we'll do slope formula. Here's an example. We'll just use a basic 2, 3, 4, 5. That's when you do back minus back, so 5 minus 3. Front minus front, so 4 minus 2. Simplify, simplify, simplify. Okay, but then we reviewed how to find the slope from a graph. There was a Khan Academy on that, I believe. And for those, you have to find 2 perfect corners or perfect, there's not dots on the graph, but you have to find good ones. So say it's there and there, and then you just count the rise and count the run. So say this is up 6, right 4. Your answer is 6 over 4, and then you reduce. Sorry, I keep coughing. Then we talked about finding slope from an equation, and there's an easy one and a hard one. So it's easy when they give you an equation in slope and intercept form, like negative 5x plus 6. Well, that's easy. The answer is right there. Your slope is negative 5. But when you have this, 6x plus 2y equals 20. So that's standard form. That's ax plus by equals z form. It's still a linear equation. It still has a slope, but the slope is not 6, it's not 2, and it's not 20. You have to solve. Solving for y means minus 6x from both sides. So your new equation is 2y equals negative 6x plus 20. And then you have to divide everybody by 2. So those cancel. 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. 20 divided by 2 is positive 10. But who cares about that? Because the slope is right there. So finding slope from the formula, finding slope from the graph, finding slope from an easy equation, finding slope from a tricky equation. Okay? All right, so now let's talk about parallel versus perpendicular. All right, parallel lines. This is what they look like, but this is what their equations look like. Maybe 7x plus 4 and 7x plus 5. Parallel just means same slope. Perpendicular looks like this, forms a perfect 90 degree, and it'll look like this. 7x plus 4 and negative 1 over 7. You have to flip 7 upside down and change the sign. Again, this part doesn't really ever matter. Never even look at it. That means perpendicular lines, and you can put these in the Desmos graphing calculator to see. So if you are neither perpendicular nor parallel, then you could be 2 different things. You could have a line drawn on top of another line. So that one's pink, and if the blue one is exactly on the same thing, then you say that it's like the same line. There's a fancy word for it, but you can choose same line. last scenario is, let's say they cross each other, but they're not perfectly perpendicular. They'll just have different slopes. So let's say maybe 5x plus 2. So if one of them is a -5 and one of them is a 5, if you look at the graphs, they have different slopes, so they do cross, but they don't cross perfectly to form a perpendicular line. So those are your scenarios. All right, now let's review. Oh, writing equations. I think there's about 4 questions on this. And they're all the same setup. They're all going to start with this formula. The only thing that'll be different is sometimes they'll give you 3 numbers, sometimes they'll give you equations. You have to look at the information that they give you. So let's start with the easiest one. It's easiest when they tell you a point and a slope. And the reason that's easy is because you have all 3 of the numbers to put into 3 boxes. So remember, the slope goes here, the y goes here, careful of that, the x goes over here. And then you just solve. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that because that's just review of distributive property. And then the last step is to get rid of the 5. Get rid of the 5 there, get rid of the 5 there. But I mostly care about, do you know where to put the 3 numbers in the 3 boxes? Final answer is 4x minus 7. So the only thing that changes on the tricky ones is the information that they give you. So I'm going to do that one right beside this so you can compare. Here's your 3 boxes. So if they don't give you 3 numbers to put in and they just say maybe 1, 7, parallel to y equals, I don't know, 3x plus 9. So people get confused on this one because there's 1, 2, 3, 4 different numbers and only 3 boxes. So you have to know that you don't care about the y-intercept of the other line. Just think of your vocab. Parallel means same slope. So to be parallel, you need the same slope. And then the rest is the same. 7 goes here, 1 goes here, and then you solve for y. All right, and I'm gonna keep on using the same spot to compare. Ooh. So the third scenario, again, every time you see equation, think this formula. It's at least how you start out. So it's a little bit different if they say, I'm even gonna use the same numbers. Through 1, 7, but perpendicular to y equals 3x plus 9. So you kind of get into a pattern of always, this one goes back here, this one goes right here. And then you just have to think. The definition of perpendicular is slopes that are negative reciprocals. So the negative reciprocal of 3 is -1/3. We don't care about the y-intercept of the other line. And again, you'll distribute. It's okay to get fractions. -1/3 times 1 is still 1/3. Negative times negative is positive. But don't be afraid of fractions. It's still the same steps. You have your calculator. You can do 7 plus 1/3. It'll probably even let you leave it like that. I don't like that though. Technically it's what, 22/3? But again, that's the process and that's the formula. So writing equations, parallel and perpendiculars. Let's do a super tricky one. Deciding if lines are parallel or perpendicular. So let's say 1, 5, 7, 9, 2, 4, 6, 8. So maybe this is A and B, maybe this is C and D. And they could ask you, are they parallel, perpendicular, or neither? And you don't just want to guess. Parallel, Parallel is choice 1. Perpendicular is choice 2. Neither is choice 3. Do not guess. A 33% chance is not good enough. You want to actually look at the slopes. Just find the slope really fast, and then you can decide which scenario it is. So I'm going to speed solve here. 9 minus 5 is 4. 7 minus 1 is 6. That reduces to 2/3. And then you just do the other slope. 8 minus 4 is 4. 6 minus 2 is 4. All right, so hopefully you realize if one of them has a slope of 2/3 and one of them has a slope of 1, you're gonna pick neither. When you get 2 and 2, that's when you pick parallel. When you get 2 and -1/2, that's when you pick perpendicular. So it's a lot of vocab. You have to know your vocab, because even if you know the math, not knowing your vocab, you still pick the wrong answer. So I think what else is on there? Writing equations, finding slope, standard form. Yeah, the biggest thing I'm worried about is this. Solving for y. I'm going to do another one. 3x minus 7, no, plus 7y equals 21. Okay, so again, if you're asked to find the slope, you'll need to fix this. If you're asked if this is parallel to something, you'll need to fix this. Just typically, whenever you see this ax plus by equals c, you want to change it, because you can't tell much information from it as it is. You can tell a lot once you fix it. So again, you want to solve for y, so you're minusing 3x. Draw this. But when you minus 3x from both sides, you're not doing 21 minus 3, because those are not like terms. That's why we're keeping them separate like that. These will cancel. And then your last step again, get rid of the 7. It's right beside, so you need to divide. But everybody has to get divided. 7 divided by 7. 3 divided by 7 is going to be a decimal in your calculator, so you want to leave it. But that should make sense to you, because slopes are rise over run. So the 3 is your rise and the 7 is your run. 21, don't forget to do the 21. 21 divided by 7 is 3. So if they ask for your slope, you have your answer right here. If they ask if this is parallel to something, you can look right here at the slope. It's all, the point of changing it from this form into this form is to find the slope. So I think that is all that is on your test. Study your vocab. Oh, I'm silly, I forgot one huge thing. These. So let me just go over all 5 scenarios real quick. All right. When the angles are here and here, those are called vertical. They are always congruent. When the angles are here and here, those all are on alternate sides of the transversal, and they're exterior, which means outside of the parallel lines. Those are always congruent. When they are here and here, one's on the left and one's on the right of the transversal, so that's alternate, but they're in between the parallels, so that's interior. Those are always congruent. What are we missing? Oh, these. Ugh. Can't answer. Sorry, it's gonna be ringing. I don't know how to mute it. Ah. All right, if one is on the outside and one is on the inside, you can't pick the word alternate or interior or exterior. You have to pick the word corresponding, because they are in a corresponding locations. If you look at the top 4 angles and the bottom 4 angles. And they are always congruent. And then, oh, this one is everyone's favorite because it's easy to see. If they're on the same side of the transversal, you literally find the word same side, but they're in between the parallels, so you also pick the word interior. So you need to be able to recognize those. Those are not congruent. These add up to 180. Clearly, if this one is an obtuse angle and this is an acute angle, that can't possibly be congruent. So you need to know all those words too. I think that is it. So study hard, do your practice test, and good luck. It's going to take me 5 hours to figure out how to stop my Zoom, so feel free to click stop on your video. Zoom, stop share, end recording. Boop.